This is the CBS Overnight News.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Overnight News. I'm Demarco Morgan. The nuclear threat from North Korea has reached an alarming new level. CBS News has learned U.S. officials believe all indications are that North Korea did test launch an intercontinental ballistic missile. The rogue regime claims the missile had the range to hit the United States, and independent scientists say it could have reached Alaska. Now, new efforts are underway to defuse the threat. Russia and China are proposing North Korea should stop all nuclear and missile tests, while the United States and South Korea stop all military exercises. That would, in theory, open a window for all parties to talk and avoid war. Tracy's in Beijing.
The threat from North Korea just got a lot more serious. Kim Jong-un has said his goal is a nuclear-tipped intercontinental ballistic missile that could hit the United States, and he may now be one step closer to making that happen.
North Korean state television gleefully announced what it called an historic event. It claims Kim Jong-un oversaw a successful test of this intercontinental ballistic missile. It is calling the Hwasong-14. With a projected range of about 4,000 miles, it would be capable of hitting all of Alaska, but not the continental United States or Hawaii. During 11 missile tests this year, North Korea has demonstrated its growing capabilities. At a military parade this spring, it showed off missile canisters believed to contain ICBMs. But it is still not known if the regime has been able to miniaturize a nuclear warhead to fit on top of those weapons.
They can claim that it's a major victory.
Tong Zhao is an expert on nuclear weapons policy.
Are we now at a point where getting North Korea to abandon their weapons program is unrealistic, and this is really more about containment?
There's no way North Korea is going to abandon its nuclear weapons in the near term. In other words, denuclearization in the near term is impossible.
In his tweets after the latest missile test, President Trump said perhaps China will put a heavy move on North Korea and end this nonsense once and for all. China may not be so willing to help. It is furious at the United States after a U.S. Navy warship passed within 12 nautical miles of a disputed island in the South China Sea that China claims is its territory. The U.S. is also selling $1.4 billion worth of weapons to Taiwan, further angering Beijing.
The Chinese government is now calling for restraint and wants the U.S. to start talking to North Korea. China seems unwilling to impose further sanctions. Their fear is that if Kim Jong-un's regime fails, it would have nothing to lose, and that could lead to a nuclear war on the Korean peninsula.
After the launch, President Trump took aim at North Korea's leader on Twitter, asking, does this guy have anything better to do with his life? The launch comes just days before President Trump meets world leaders at the G20 summit in Germany. Here's Kris and Cleave.
The president was briefed late last night on North Korea's latest ballistic missile launch. Just a day earlier, President Trump spoke with Chinese President Xi Jinping about containing North Korea's nuclear weapons program. According to the New York Times, President Trump told the Chinese president the United States is prepared to act on its own in dealing with North Korea. But the White House's official statement on the call said the two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to a denuclearized Korean peninsula. The once warm relationship between the two presidents has chilled as North Korea continues its push for nuclear weapons. Yesterday, Russian President Vladimir Putin hosted President Xi in Moscow. Putin is set to meet with President Trump for the first time on Friday. It is still unclear if President Trump will address Russian meddling in the U.S. election or continued sanctions on Russia. Yesterday, the Kremlin said its patience with the U.S. is running out.
People in New Jersey got a chance to enjoy the 4th of July holiday on reopened state beaches and parks. Governor Christie and Democratic lawmakers reached a late-night budget deal yesterday, and the agreement comes a day after Christie was spotted lounging with his family on an empty state beach he ordered closed while residents crammed into other available beaches. The governor was at his official summer residence, but that did not stop a wave of criticism up and down the Jersey Shore.
This bill is a long overdue, significant reform that will have a lasting impact on New Jersey residents.
Republicans and Democrats struck a last-minute budget deal Monday night. It calls for an overhaul of New Jersey's largest health insurer in exchange for more than $300 million in Democratic spending priorities.
This is the best budget that we've had in 10 years.
But even as the budget stalemate came to an end, Governor Christie continued to face questions over his decision to spend time during the long holiday weekend at Island Beach State Park.
Shame on those people who wanted to make this as if we were taking advantage of something.
Christie and his family had almost 10 miles of beach all to themselves as a result of the partial government shutdown.
Let's be really clear. That's our residence, and we have a right to be there whenever we want to be there.
I thought it was insensitive and tone deaf.
Kim Guadagno, the Republican lieutenant governor running to replace Christie, said he was out of touch.
If the people can't use a public beach, then quite frankly, neither should the elected public officials.
On Twitter, Christie said 119 of New Jersey's 130 miles of coastline were unaffected by the shutdown.
He was on the beach for 45 minutes and back in Trenton that day.
This plain banner carried a blunt message for the governor: get the hell off the beach, and a parrot jab at its warning in 2011 ahead of Hurricane Irene.
I think Christie should be ashamed of himself, especially since he gets to enjoy his own beach.
Christie, whose job approval rating has sunk to 15% according to one recent poll, was ridiculed online. His image was photoshopped into iconic movie scenes and used as a reminder of the Bridgegate scandal.
This is just another example of our politicians caring more about themselves than about us.
The CBS Overnight News. We'll be right back.